Hi everybody, thanks for joining us here for Northern Ag TV. I'm Colter Brown. Well, of course, our top story this week is the devastating fires in southern Montana and northern Wyoming. We feel so much for those producers, keeping them in our thoughts and prayers. More than 400,000 acres have burned and the fires are still not out yet. We've heard some tough stories from producers with cattle lost, especially in that Remington fire where a lot of producers did have to euthanize cattle. It's going to be a long road to recovery, miles and miles of fence to rebuild. The winter feed is all lost here, so they're looking for places to go with cattle, trying to source hay. It's a difficult situation, but I tell you, this is the time when our local communities shine. There are so many people that just want to give and help these producers recover. Here's just some of the events that we're hearing from producers. Of course, today, Buffalo Livestock has a rollover auction at 1 p.m. to raise money for fencing supplies. There's a fencing relief fund, an auction that's being held to help the Wyoming producers. The Montana Stock Growers Association has restarted their wildfire relief fund to have a tax-deductible way to give. The Rosebud County Cattlewomen are handling a lot of the relief efforts there in Powder River, Rosebud, and Bighorn counties. So appreciate all the support that's rolling out here. I tell you, it is heartwarming, the phone calls that we've gotten at the office of people that want to give of their time and help build some fence, people that have pasture that are willing to take cattle in or want to give some hay to help these producers. It's a long, difficult road to recovery, but we are going to help these folks that are affected by these fires survive, rebuild, and recover. Well, turning to some happier news, I had a lot of fun this past weekend in Miles City at the Eastern Montana Fair where I announced the Champion of Champions Steer Show. It's a unique event where the Grand and Reserve champions from 12 county fairs across Eastern Montana compete to see who raised the best calf this year. 22 kids were in that show, and I was not envious of the judge trying to pick the best out of just the cream of the crop that we have to offer. The grand champion in the live show went to Jake Cook, who won the Yellowstone County Fair. Grand champion in the carcass, though, went to Liz Mokey from Hysham, of course, Redland Red Angus there. And then the overall reserve champion in the live show, Bailey Becker from Ballantyne. Her family, a long history in the Angus business. And it was a special show for Bailey, as she told me it was the culmination of her 4-H showing career.
With this steer, I'm very thankful that he helped me finish out my goals with this 4-H. My goal was to make top 5 my last year, and I did it. Was 3rd overall at my fair. He is the best steer that I could have ever asked for. He ate well for me. There's nothing else I could ask for.
Well, calf prices are going to be record high this year, almost no matter how it shakes out. And reading the tea leaves, it looks like next year could be even higher. So as we get into the weaning time frame, it's important to get these cows back in condition, focusing on the next calf crop to ensure that we have the pounds and the breed back. Last week at the Nutrilix dealer meeting, I spoke with MSU Beef Cattle Extension Specialist Dr. Sam Weifels, who said the fall really is the optimum time to get these cows back into the right body condition.
Post-weaning, that's when she's at her lower nutrient requirements. She's not caring for a calf anymore. So that is the perfect time to have the biggest impact on that cow's performance or its condition. So if your cows are coming in a little thin and you're feeling you need to put some condition on them, that's the easiest time to put condition on them at a cheaper level.
Well, thanks for joining us here for Northern Ag TV. We'll be back to see what's going on in the markets after this.
From the beginning, we've worked closely with farmers. BNSF's ties to the agricultural community go back 175 years. Together, we've innovated to make the U.S. agriculture supply chain one of the most efficient and productive in the world. Our strong relationship powers BNSF still today and helps us move the nation like no one else can. At BNSF, we move the nation for you.
Returning back to look at our markets, cattle futures actually did a pretty good job of shaking off a bearish cattle on feed report that called July placements into feed yards 50% higher than the expectations. Now, futures still have a long ways to go to recover what was lost, but at least we're trending in the right direction with 2 days of higher movements. Now, last week's cash-fed cattle trade was down $3 to $5 again. Live sales averaging $185.5, dressed at $294. Now, feedlots are pretty full and they need to move cattle, and packers have been buying for deferred delivery, so this cash market may struggle again this week. Last week, Superior Livestock held their Bighorn Classic in Sheridan. Of course, prices were down from the record July sale, just kind of following the board lower, but still, we're talking values are at least a dime better from last year. Some of the highest prices we've ever reported, to be honest with you here. Don't know that we're going to get back to those July levels before the fall run comes, but think the price break should be a little less this year, just with flat out less calves to market. Of course, Pays held their sheep sale in Billings this week with over 5,000 head selling. The light lambs did a little better in that sale, but really as we got heavier, those lambs were steady to lower with what we saw last week, so kind of returning to that seasonal trend in the sheep market. And turning to the wheat, after multiple days of hitting new contract lows in the futures, we managed to squeak higher on Tuesday. Now the support kind of came from quality issues in the France and Germany crops, but also hearing some falling number issues in eastern North Dakota and Minnesota. So that provided a touch of support to the wheat. Really, we're looking at prices that are far below where we were last year, about $2 under, to be honest with you. The kind of silver lining right here is that exports are recovering from last year's 50-year low. Year to date in the marketing year, exports up 36% from last year. Well, thanks for joining us here for Northern Ag TV. I'm Coulter Brown. Have a good one.